right now we have 3 different generational segments, all making purchasing decisions in senior living. We still have the greatest generation. We have boomers and we have Gen Xers. And then, of course, the millennials are coming up. Each of those segments does research differently, acquires information differently, digests media differently. And for us as an industry to serve all 4 of those generations well, we have to have our education everywhere.
I agree.
Welcome to The Move-In, a senior living marketing podcast from Unlock Health, a full-service marketing partner for the aging services industry. Join us for candid conversations exploring the latest marketing strategies with the senior living community leaders and innovative solution partners who are moving our industry forward. Together, we'll build a community to build better communities.
I was having a great conversation with Katherine Ross, and we were discussing information that I knew would be valuable to this audience. So I asked her to join us for an episode. Katherine is the driving force behind seniorsguide.com. For over 20 years, Katherine and her team have provided invaluable content and resources to help seniors and their loved ones make informed decisions about their care. I knew this audience would benefit from her insights. In this conversation, we discussed the history and purpose of seniorsguide.com and how they provided content to help families navigate senior living options for the past 20 years. We also discussed changes in senior living over the past few years, how consumer education and understanding of senior living options have evolved from 2001 to today. We also discussed the importance of meeting consumers where they are in the research process. We also reviewed the future of senior living content and how to adapt to serve multiple generational segments from the greatest generation to millennials. All right, here's the conversation with Katherine. We are on the move in senior living, and I have Katherine Ross with seniorsguide.com sitting with me. We started to chat, and then I said, let's actually record this chat because I felt like it was just a fun and engaging conversation about like just all things senior living. We're at Smash Conference, and I think it's good to just continue to have these conversations, just and share this and just keep everybody in the know. So thank you for the willingness to sit down and continue this conversation. But before we go any further, please tell us about yourself and seniorsguide.com.
Sure. So I'm Katherine Ross with seniorsguide.com, and we've been publishing content for families to navigate the senior living space for over 20 years.
Okay.
Our site launched in 2001.
Nice. Yes. Early adopter then into like really providing this content.
Absolutely. And, navigating senior living and figuring out the right care that serves the right person. It's a very customizable option, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many options today and so much information clutter out there.
Yes.
And so
it's an information overload at times.
It is. And it's at the time that families are worried and concerned, and it's such a challenging thing to put your plan together.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have multiple siblings who may have different ideas.
Sometimes you can be the glue of information. You're speaking to adult child decision makers. Like you said, they can all have different opinions.
They
can. The senior living seeker, and their spouse, and like there's so many stories to unpack, and you really want to convey one message that keeps them all together. It seems like, and I'm guessing you've seen the same thing.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're seeing an uptick in seniors doing their own research too.
Yeah.
And I'll use my aunt who had Parkinson's as an example for that. She was looking into her own assisted living options along with her children, her 4 children.
Yeah.
And so it's important for families to get aligned with the choices they're making. And the best way for that to happen is for education to be out there. And that's where we come in.
Well,
we really try to craft that message.
Yeah. And you think about like how we all research things. It's, on the internet. Whether it's Google, whether it's social media, like there's different platforms just to get more information. Reddit. How do you really place the right content in front of people so they can make the right decision? It's not just about attracting them to, a senior living community, but you want to make sure they're at the right community and helping them along that journey.
Well, and that's not us feeding that conversation. That's us guiding it with questions.
Yes.
So we really try to help families know what questions to ask when they're visiting communities or when they're talking to home care agencies, what things to look for.
Yeah.
And then also we want to talk to the senior for every avenue of their life. So we put content together that is nostalgic, that is entertaining, that addresses curiosities they might have, along with information on providers and information on doing research.
So I think about 2001 and we're in 2024.
Right.
What are some specific moments you've seen those changes throughout the years, like starting, 20 plus years ago?
Oh my goodness.
Because I think far too often we say pre and post COVID, but I'd like to drill down a little bit more because I do on the other end of this, now we're in 2024, you have the senior living seekers actually leveraging technology.
Yes.
But I'm curious to see what that journey looked like going from 2001 to today.
Well, very different. Obviously, the internet was very different in 2001 than it is today. But what's interesting is I think consumers are better educated now.
Yeah.
There's a better understanding of what assisted living is in general.
Yeah.
In 2001, we saw a lot of search terms where people didn't even know the term assisted living. So that wasn't showing up or bringing traffic to the site the way it does today. We also see that they have a better understanding of the financial piece because they've heard about how things play out with friends and family and things like that. And they want those answers online before they have physical conversations with anybody. I think about myself, and if I were buying a car, I'm not going to test drive a car without knowing that price range, right? Well, we have to realize that consumers in senior living are going to be wired the same way.
Absolutely. And we want to give them that control so they feel like they're making the best decision.
Yes. And I think it's best when providers are the ones who own the pricing conversation.
Yeah.
That's where it belongs with them. And then they can talk about the value their community brings, the amenities that they have, or the care levels they have, and really talk to brass tacks. I think one of the challenges in our industry is because providers haven't always chosen to be pricing transparent. They've given up the ability to third parties to try and control that conversation. I don't think that serves the families.
Yeah.
And it certainly doesn't serve providers. And if those two stakeholders aren't winning, then that's not the right process.
Yeah. So how does seniorsguide.com interact? I know you said you provide content, but go in a little more detail of like what that role is for seniorsguide.com now as it currently stands.
Absolutely. So most of the traffic that comes to our site is organic traffic, and that has a lot to do with the content that we provide on the site. We, of course, have searchable databases of providers where people can look at different options and see what fits them best. But our intent is to be a window into providers where families connect in the way that they are most at ease and most comfortable. They can click to call, they can create a form fill, or they can go directly to a provider's website from our website. So we do not gatekeep any information. Everything on our site is free. And that's free of any data requirements too.
Yeah, that's really great to provide those resources. And now, has it always been like that with seniorsguide.com?
Yes, we've always been free information. Just about education and empowerment for families.
Okay. I'm going to take a step back. How did you get into senior living?
Oh, goodness. That's a story.
Shoot. I should have started there, but I'm sorry. I can see the passion in what you do, and I'd love to hear more of like that stories.
Well, it's a funny thing because when I started in this company, I didn't expect to stay here as long as I did. So the company was founded by my father and mother-in-law back in the early 90s. And they got their start in more conventional housing and then needed care for my grandfather-in-law, a World War II vet. And was researching options and finding there wasn't an easy way to put that information together. So they started a publication in Richmond, Virginia called Seniors Guide. And I was brought on in the early aughts because I had worked in mass media and I had a non-compete. And so I started the Raleigh-Durham market just to work out my non-compete. And here I am 23 years later running the company.
You never know where life's going to take you.
You really don't. You really don't. And I love it. And I love the senior living industry because just like we're seeing here at Smash, everyone comes into it with a heart to serve.
Absolutely.
And as water levels rise, as we all get better at what we do, we're serving seniors better and more authentically. And then that means we're taking the most vulnerable population in our community and taking better care of it. And that is core to my heart.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
My last question is, where do you see, really this senior living content, senior living as a whole, moving over the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh my goodness, in so many directions.
Yeah.
And I think we have to continue to meet families where they are.
Sure.
And so right now we're talking to multiple demographics in this space, right?
Mhm.
So 10 years ago, you were really talking to the baby boomers who were working on looking for information for their parents. So you were either talking to a baby boomer or a greatest generation. But right now we have 3 different generational segments all making purchasing decisions in senior living. We still have the greatest generation. We have boomers and we have Gen Xers. And then, of course, the millennials are coming up. Each of those segments does research differently, acquires information differently, digests media differently. And for us as an industry to serve all 4 of those generations well, we have to have our education everywhere.
I agree. Yeah, that's probably the best way to wrap this up is just really meet people where they are in their journey and be prepared to really speak to them through that process. So where can people find you?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn, of course. And
LinkedIn's the place to be in senior living, I feel like.
It really is.
Sure.
It's a lot of fun there, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's where I feel like, we got to meet at senior housing, like was that senior housing news when we really got to meet and then like connecting on LinkedIn and learning each other's stories the same way, like share stories on senior living.
Yes.
Then you get to meet at conferences and then you become friends. So it's incredible like that we have these avenues to connect like this.
Absolutely. And I always think it's fun to take relationships that are fostered more virtually and bring them into real life like we are today.
Yes, 100%. Thank you for sharing with us today. Give us another plug on seniorsguide.com, what you're working on currently and what you're excited about.
Oh my goodness. We're doing a new iteration of the site, which we're in constant evolution mode as serial entrepreneurs and people who lead with curiosity.
Nice.
And so first quarter next year, we should be launching new visuals, new capabilities. It's going to be really exciting.
That's exciting. Thank you so much for being a part of this
Thank
today.
you for asking me. I've enjoyed it.
All right. We'll see you around the conference more today.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
Katherine, thanks for the willingness to share today. Here are a few notes that I took from Katherine during this conversation. First, provide transparent pricing information. Katherine emphasized the importance of senior living providers being transparent about their pricing. This allows families to have more control and make informed decisions. Second, adapt content and outreach for different generations. Katherine discussed the need to reach multiple generational segments, from the greatest generation to millennials, as they all play a role in senior living decisions. The way they research and consume information varies. And finally, continuously evolve the online experience. Katherine mentioned staying current with technology and user expectations is crucial, and senior living providers should regularly review and refresh their online presence to provide the best possible digital experience for prospective residents and their families. Thank you again to Katherine for the expertise. We're all better off because of your guidance. And until next time, let's go make some meaningful connections.
Thank you for listening to The Move in Healthcare Growth. Add your voice to the conversation. Email the show at themove@unlockhealthnow.com. Follow us on social media and stay up to date at unlockhealthnow.com. Also, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode.